live from the Purple Cow Branding Studios.
Welcome to Network Today. I'm Sheryl Powers.
I'm Rob Bliss.
And we're here to take you from meeting people to
making money
faster. So if that's what you want to do, congratulations. You're in the right place, because in the next 30 minutes-ish, we have got a locked and loaded program.
We do, Sheryl. And I want to just emphasize to our audience is that if I only knew this, Sheryl, 20 years ago, I could have gotten my business to where it is today so much faster.
Yeah. We want you to get there faster. That's the goal, to get there faster. And we've got a theme for the whole year because we felt like this was really important that we all learn how to not do this anymore. So it's networking stop. That's right. Because you are mad as hoo-hoo.
I'm mad as hoo-hoo. And that's right. We've stopped networking because we've got to connect with people. We've got to develop relationships. We've got to build relationships.
That's exactly right. So I do want to just take 1 second and say what hoo-hoo is. Somebody asked me that today. They said, what is a mad at hoo-hoo? And I said, well, insert word. But hoo-hoo comes from the Hawaiian word anger.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's a great word.
I love it. Well, I love Hawaii. I love everything that has to do with Hawaii, but mad as hoo-hoo. Of course, the Hawaiians would come up with that. So yeah, we really want to make sure that we get past just the grind of networking. It's exhausting.
Passing out business cards, asking, telling them I want to sell you something. And it's just, I'm so tired of that. And also kind of lately, Sheryl, it's just like we're going to happy hour and we're not really accomplishing a lot.
No, we aren't. But our guest that we have today is accomplishing a lot because he's learned how to network right. So the annual theme, our theme for the year is networking stop. The topic for today is networking from scratch. Like when you get started with nothing.
Nothing. And that's such a great topic because, again, most of the people in our audience are new to networking. Mm-hmm. And again, it's kind of like you've got to build that roadmap. For granted. When you're going on a road trip, do you just hop in your car and go? No, you've got to either set your GPS or get the road map out beforehand. And in networking, we take so many things for granted.
Yeah, we do. We wing it. But you're exactly right. And I think the car trip is a really great one. And it means that you get in the car with a full tank of gas. You have your bottle of water, you have your snacks, you're prepared, right?
Got your great CDs.
That's right. So you're prepared because you plan ahead. Yeah. And we have to go into networking just like that. I think that's a great point. So here's what you can expect today, right? We are going to talk about our Grand Slams here in just a second, which I know you're super excited about yours. I'm excited about mine too. I got a good one. We are going to talk to our guest, Paul Arceneaux. I just love this guy. I really, really learned to love this guy in a very short time. And you're going to love what he has to say about networking from a new business owner standpoint. Then we're going to talk about, I've got the top 11 networking for success tips according to Zen Business. And this is for small business owners because we all have to approach our professional life as if we're a small business owner.
Right.
Even if you're an independent contractor or even a W-2 worker or a truly solopreneur. So these are really good ones too. So really good networking tips. And then we're going to give you some action items to wrap up the episode.
Awesome. What a great episode.
That's right. So our Grand Slam, which is our success story of the week, when we come back.
A small business is still a business. At Purple Cow Branding, we want to help you execute your greatest visions for your company. Purple Cow works for small businesses that don't have big budgets to spend on their marketing efforts. Inquire now at purpleCowBranding.com to be the biggest little guy around. Purple Cow Branding, much more than digital marketing.
So this is Grand Slam time because
just knock it out of the ballpark.
Right. But networking, the reason we do this, the reason we do Grand Slams, you remember why we came up with a Grand Slam?
No.
Because there's so much working out, right? So much training you have to do in networking. It's exhausting. And you have to be reminded of the end result, which is a win, right? You have to stay focused on the win. Just like last night's Super Bowl, right? So the Super Bowl winners were Kansas City Chiefs. So Patrick Mahomes was talking about what he does in order to stay on track, like in order to stay focused on the Super Bowl. He listens to Whitney Houston's anthem all the time, over and over and over again, to imagine himself in the stadium. Going for the win.
I missed that. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know. Super cool. Super cool. But anyway, so you have to stay focused on the win. Otherwise, you'll just feel defeated, because we've been there. So this is the win. You want to do your win?
I'm going to do my win.
All right, do your win.
Really cool. You know, just a few weeks ago, ran into Lauren Midgley at a networking group, and it's probably been over 4 years that I've seen Lauren. And, you know, she is, you know, I saw her at a workshop at Lynn Barrett's Lunch and Learn, and she's an author.
Right. So
I bought 2 of her books. And, but then again, you know, life gets in the way and you drift apart and we go different directions. So, ran into her a couple weeks ago and invited her to the office for a one-on-one. And it was just so neat because what she's doing now, she's back on writing another book. Mm-hmm. She's focusing on her speaking engagements. Mm-hmm. She started a great greeting card line where it says, "You matter to me."
Right.
I think she gave you some as well.
Yeah.
And you know what a great, I love that quote, "You matter to me." And then she's got this free ebook of 52 other "You matter" kind of quotes. And so I encourage you to go to her website, "You Matter to Me." But, you know, she is so, you know, it's that whole thing of reciprocity that we've talked about.
Yeah.
But again, we reconnected. We're talking about a mastermind group for our coaching and that we're going to be getting onto later.
Yeah.
So again, she was so excited, and she is so smart. She's well connected. She's a great networker, a living proof of that. So yeah, it was just so neat to have her back, kind of in the inner circle again. And she has so much to offer. So again, a big shout out to Lauren Midgley.
I know, she's delightful. And actually, I thought I brought her up here, and then you guys had a one-on-one after we were done.
Yes,
yes.
Yeah.
She was, man, I can't wait to, she is definitely going to be a guest.
Yes.
Definitely on the guest list, Lauren.
Absolutely.
I know. So this is one, I was trying to go back in my little pea brain as to when I met Kimberly Shapiro. And I think it was, so this goes to networking within your clients. Right? Good. You have to build relationships within those organizations that you're working with, goes beyond the transaction. And so somehow we became fast friends as I was working with her. And then she leaves and goes to another group, as people do. And she's in the staffing executive placement. And then she introduced me to that group down in Houston. So we'd enrolled that group several years ago. And then she goes to another group. We met there and we've kept in contact throughout. Well, as it turns out, a couple of weeks ago, she says, and again, staying loosely in touch with people. You don't have to bombard them. Right. Sometimes we're just busy doing our own separate things. She says, "Sheryl, I just left to start my own executive placement firm. Let's get busy."
Oh, right? I like that. Let's get busy.
I know. I was so honored and thrilled that she would share that with me, like the day after she started on her own, and me to help her get plugged in with some organizations to help launch her career.
Wow.
Right?
That is so cool.
Yeah. So I'm just so super excited. And that's a long jaunt. I mean, I'm probably from 2016 till now. So 7 years, right? 7 years. But the journey now is at this new fun, fresh place where we get to kind of start over, and I get to take what we've been learning here,
right,
and a new sphere of influence, and help her launch her business.
Oh, that is so
Isn't that exciting?
Is she going to be coming to Mid-Market Professionals this week?
Yes. Hopefully. Okay. She will be coming to Mid-Market Professionals hopefully this week.
Hopefully.
Yes,
great.
That's right.
Awesome. Great story.
I know. I love networking when you remember the stories that come out of just sticking with it, right?
Absolutely.
So we have our amazing guests. I just love his professionalism. I love his demeanor. He's got some great little nuggets. And so Paul Arceneaux is our guest, and we're going to talk about networking from scratch next.
Are you having trouble with your VoIP phone system? Smart Office USA to the rescue. We're a local company here in DFW with real people, certified technicians, and we even come to your office to help you. Smart Office USA, representing the #1 VoIP phone system on the planet. And we are right here in DFW, ready to help you. Call us 214-272-0921 or go to www.smartofficeusa.com.
Okay, so this is one subject matter that I know so many people who are new to networking are totally digging, and that's networking from scratch. And we have an expert here who's done really well in a short time, Paul Arceneaux. Yeah, give it up for you.
Thank you.
For 1 year, right, since you bought your...
May 1st will be 1 year.
Wow.
So thank you for having me.
You bet.
Oh, we're
Sheryl.
so...
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So you bought your franchise, or you bought your business, right?
Yeah.
You bought your business a year ago, and prior to that, you did have some experience doing what you're doing. It was just a little different.
I was in New York Life for a short stint, but most of my career has been spent in independent schooling. So, but most of that has been in sales. I was a college coach for 9 years, which really you have to recruit to be good.
Oh,
And then I was director of admissions, a lot of my role in independent schooling. So,
Were you the headmaster?
I was headmaster sometimes. I was upper school head, middle school head, director of admissions a lot of the time.
So you used to running things.
Yeah, I
right?
used to, meeting with people and,
Having
leading
conversations.
organizations, but also, figuring out who, what about, because in education, there's a lot of different ways that people might be attracted to the institution.
right.
And you had to figure out in a short amount of time what was there, who was the decision maker was in the family, and
Right.
what was there.
So you bought your farmer's insurance book of business,
Right.
And since then, you've acquired some more, which is awesome. Congratulations for growing.
Yeah.
How did you? So you had this blank slate, right? And you're like, now I'm not a painter,
Right.
and I'm going to have to go paint this beautiful portrait of something that I don't have any instruction booklet. That's what you were saying. No instruction. How did you do that?
I think I read people fairly well. So I got in groups, I made lots of mistakes. I got in groups that I think were inefficient and not productive, but I got in groups where I met good people like yourselves who guided me to other good groups. And, people I find on the networking circuits, so to speak, are willing to share their, their experiences with you and maybe help me not waste my time as much.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
If they can how did they keep you from wasting your time without offending? Like that's that's a slippery slope sometimes, right?
Yeah. I think they figured out, like I was, and this has been true my whole career. I think I'm better at one-on-one meetings than I am in big groups because I tend to be an introvert in some ways. And so you go into these big networking events and sometimes you can, or at least I can be like, oh man, this is a lot of people. Where do I start? Who do I start with? So I kind of just started trying to have 3 or 4 conversations in one group and get 3 or 4 business cards. So I came away with meaningful conversations. And then I did a good job at getting those people to have one-on-ones with me. So
and Rob, you know a lot of people too that are in insurance or these what would be a crowded industry, right? So there are a lot of people doing insurance or financials and whatnot.
Right.
Any thoughts on how you would approach networking from scratch when you're in a situation like that?
Well, I think, I love the topic today because, again, especially for someone that's new to networking, you've got to put that game plan. And Sheryl, this is something that we're working on with the Network Today playbook. And networking from scratch, again, is critical. And you've got to stand out from the crowd because it's like, doesn't matter what field you're in, it's crowded. And so what can you, so you really, to me, a number one item that you've got to address is what's going to make you different than the other guy, the insurance guy in the room. And then, Farmers has got such a great reputation out there. But again, it goes back to, people buy from people. and it goes into your personal branding and spending time. And I can just tell from, in the short time that I've gotten to know you, is that you're very intentional about your networking and you're working at it. And so again, I would really spend some time on personal branding side and what's going to make you different versus telling people about insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
Which you're so good at not doing, right? Just making people people.
It's, I think in some ways what I do is somewhat boring. So, I mean, people need auto and home protection, and I do commercial insurance as well. But people tend to like people who are interested in them.
Yes.
And I found that the number one subject people like to talk about is themselves. So I ask lots of questions, and I try to be a good listener. My wife may refute this, but I try to be a good listener and ask relevant questions and find out people's stories. I do enjoy people's stories. So,
okay, so networking from scratch.
Yeah.
You've got time,
mm-hmm.
and then you have to make money with that time,
Right.
and then you have to add
Mhm.
networking into this.
Right.
How did you work all of that out, and are you still working through that formula?
Yeah, I mean, some weeks I'll let some of the networking go if I've, had to schedule so many one-on-ones. I do a really good job at getting appointments. And people buy from people they know and like.
Right.
And
absolutely.
So the one-on-ones are important to me, and whether I can actually do business. I mean, everyone can buy what I offer, but also I want people to prefer me if they think I'll do a good job for someone else. So I'm typically out there trying to learn a lot about their business because I run across a lot of people in my day, and also know it well enough so that if I do come across people that they would serve well, I can help them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there some things that you had to start adjusting? So as you get started networking,
Yeah.
did you overdo some things?
Oh, yeah.
Underdo what was that?
Oh, I overdid probably how many networking. I'm a morning person, but some of my events were starting at 7:30, and I always found Tuesday, like I had a Wednesday 7:30 that was down in Oak Cliff, and great people, and I really liked the group. But every Tuesday night I had some of my best networking events on Tuesday night, and so I ended up having to cut that one out, which I hated because I really liked the people, but I wasn't doing as much referral business or anything down there. But and it opened up time where I could put in more one-on-ones.
Yeah.
So I'm still doing that. It's hard for me to cut things out because some people need to be more strategic than I need to be. Because what they sell and what they're doing is, it'd be wasteful to do as much as I do. But I find, so I'm probably not a good person to ask about what to cut out. So I'm still navigating that.
Still working through that.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say? What would your advice be to somebody that is new to networking? Networking from scratch. What would be a couple of tips that you would give them to start off with?
Find someone in the groups. I mean, I find a lot of my groups through Meetup or Eventbrite. But once you go out there, find someone you trust and like and who's successful at what they do, and pick their brain about where they invest their time. Yeah.
That's good.
That is good, because if you can follow the leaders in those industries, it'll help you kind of minimize the mistakes. But to your point, everybody's got different thresholds, like during the day or night, or, are you a morning person? If you aren't, probably don't go to the morning things.
Right. Yeah.
But because if you do too much, that can be a problem too.
Yeah.
So, and it was interesting that you said you look up through Eventbrite.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody's starting from scratch, that's a good place to look. And I forget to tell people that Eventbrite's a good, it's where we post our stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you search? What are some keywords? So if somebody's...
They have the career and business section of it.
Okay.
I believe that's what it's called, and they do the same on Meetup, and it'll list a number of things. I tend to lean toward, because there are groups that are industry exclusive, and for my personality and for the most productive networking events I've been to are the ones that are just inclusive. And I just enjoy those the most.
Like mid-market professionals.
Right. Right. Mid-market professionals.
So a shameless plug.
Yeah.
Or the Farmers Branch Chamber.
Right. Yeah, chamber events, things like that.
Yeah.
Now, quickly on Meetup, and I don't want to drill down on this, but not too many people bring that up.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people, so they talk about LinkedIn being one of them, or just Google, just search. But Meetup.
Yeah.
I have strong feelings about Meetup,
Yeah.
how it used to be versus how it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find more B2B or more B2C groups through Meetup?
I can find both, honestly. I think if you look in the career section, I mean, a lot of it is just social. But if you really look in the career and business section, they'll have a lot of B2B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
I haven't looked right then.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
All right. So this is good. And you're helping us develop a scope for how people, when they're just getting started, because it feels like forever since I just got started.
Yeah.
I mean, so I've forgotten what it was like to be new into networking, but how you've developed it has really been just beautiful to watch. I love that.
Yeah. And you've helped so much. I really owe you a big favor because you bring in really thought leaders in the networking field, and they'll do a short presentation, and it just helps someone like me think of new ways to interact with the market out there. So that's been a big help, and it's really paid. If you look at numbers, I only owned my business for 8 months last year, but I increased new business by 80%.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
So that is tremendous.
Wow.
Just through hustle and.
So would you say then that networking would be your number one lead gen tool?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's the only lead gen.
It's the only.
Yeah.
So obviously you need to connect with Paul.
Yeah.
You need to get to know him. So Paul, the last name, the spelling of your last name.
Yeah.
Spell it.
Arceneaux.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Arceneaux. Arceneaux.
Right.
All right. And
Yeah.
before we dismiss,
Yeah.
a little known fact about yourself.
A little known fact. Well, that last name would give you a tip that I'm from New Orleans. A little. I held my claim to fame at one time. I held the indoor mile state meet record in Louisiana for 30 years.
Wow.
Goodness gracious.
Indoor mile.
Well
That's
done,
awesome.
you, man.
Awesome.
So
Congratulations.
awesome. Well, thank you. It's
Our
gone
friend.
by.
That's right.
Yeah.
From Louisiana to
Wow.
Texas.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Paul.
Well, thanks for having
Make
me.
sure you get connected on LinkedIn, and we will be back. All right, that was good stuff from Paul. Whew. I know. And what I didn't mention either, that I have to give him accolades, he was our very first Network Today sponsor.
Oh, that's right. Absolutely. Thank you again, Paul.
Yes, go visit him and get your insurance shopped through Paul. But off camera, we were talking about your takeaway, and I think you have a good one. Share that with us.
Well, in getting to know Paul, he came from kind of education in that. So, networking was not a thing that he had to do most of his career. So then he buys a farmer's insurance agency, and then all of a sudden his world changes. And then, but what I like what he said though was, he just he dove right into it. He was very proactive, and he went out to the Meetup site, which lists 1,000 networking. And then he went out visiting different networking events. So he just jumped right in and went after it.
And that's hard too, when you come from a world, to your point, where you don't have to network, but now you have to. And you have a book of business in what's a really highly compressed world. So financials, banking, and insurance. Highly compressed. You just get a lot of people in those areas, but he's found a way to carve out. So my takeaway was, what was his increase in business since he started networking?
It was he said 80%.
Yeah, it was. So in 8 months, I thought it was bigger than that, but anyway,
80%.
Huge increase, and in an 8 month period. And he says networking was what helped him do that. And just being a real person, just sitting down, having a nice tea, because that's how we got to know each other.
Right.
Learning about the stuff and going on in our lives, and we didn't really talk about business. We touched on it at the end so that we both were clear on what we did, but it was really just getting to know him. And I think that was, if you are in a highly compressed, competitive area, I highly recommend that you get to know Paul and figure out how he carved out a niche in this very big market in insurance. And then you have farmers, right? So I thought that was really big. Thank you, Paul. And we'll be back. You're smart. You're watching this. But did you know that 2 out of every 3 Americans will deal with a legal issue this year? Half of those will spend 13 days working on those issues. At Empowered Advantage, we help with the stuff of life. Letter M as in marvelous, howardadvantage.com. All right, so as we wrap this up, I know we love to give action items so that everybody's leaving here, so that when you're listening, you're like, oh yeah, that's good. But we want you to start like implementing these things. So here's something that you can go to. This is Zen Business. I always just Google, I want to say it was networking tips for new business owners.
Okay.
And there were several actually good ones, but in the essence of time, I want to make sure I kind of zero in on this one. I liked Zen Business, 11 tips for networking success. Attend networking events was number 1. Choose a goal. I thought that was,
I like that.
I know you do it. I forget. So that's just one of the things that we have to continually remind ourselves of, whatever that goal is. And they give an example here. In order to make new connections, if you want to donate your time, then figure out what that item is that you want to get out of that networking connection,
right?
In order to have a value takeaway. So get social in your off hours. This was a great one. So this was item number 3, and talks about doing Pilates, or if you're in a PTA or at your kid's baseball game or whatever. Talk to the people around you, find out about them. Maybe there's some professional connection, right? So that's a good way to be able to do that. Know your worth, identify conversational icebreakers. I think that's a really good one when you're networking from scratch. You don't know what to do. Maybe you've never done it before, and you're uncomfortable. It's awkward,
right?
But finding icebreakers. What's yours? I know you probably have a ton.
Well, yeah, I use a lot. I say probably the most common one I use is tell me what brought you to the group here. Who invited you here? Is one when I'm at a networking event.
That's good. That's good. I like to ask, hey, what do you do for fun? So obviously we love to work. We're here to work, but what do you do for fun? And that tends to take people into, oh, hey, I do karate or whatever. So I think that's good. And it helps establish some common ground sometimes. Bring a buddy, overcome introversion. So find a reason to follow up. I thought that was, it was item number 8. Find a reason to follow up is really good. Don't be negative. I thought that was interesting that they had to put that on the list. Do you find people go to a networking event and are negative?
Yeah, I've very few times I've run into that. So
yeah. Don't be selfish. So being a giver,
right,
is certainly there, and don't be afraid to ask what you want. Right,
good, very good.
And asking what you want, I think, bounces back to the knowing what you're worth, because they talk about if you know what your value position is, what you're bringing into the marketplace,
right,
then if you can convey that verbally in a really short sentence, the lizard brain type,
right,
then you're more likely to begin to convert those conversations into a more meaningful discussion and revenue ultimately, right?
So
then people know exactly where you're going and what you're trying to get.
Makes sense.
Right? So I thought that was good. So again, Zen Business, 11 tips for new businesses who are networking. All
cool.
Right? So
good stuff.
You got your thoughts, your action items. You ready for that?
Here we go, gang. Action items. Number 1 is develop your roadmap. And I kind of say, turn it into your networking map. And what some of the points that you should look at is, what is your map? It's like, first of all, from scratch, right, we're talking about is talk to family and friends right away. Talk to where you went to school. Talk to those people right away.
Alumni associations are really good.
Very good. Any professional associations, like say the transportation club type of thing. And then I think one of the things I think is important is, and I just can't read my own handwriting, but get involved with your local community, things like the Lions Club, the Rotary Club, things of that sort. Get recommendations from people in your community so that you're kind of reaching out to that. So that's developing your roadmap, turning it into your networking map, so important. Number 2 is be proactive. That's something that Paul stressed.
Yeah.
Be proactive. Get on Meetup, get online, get on Facebook, LinkedIn, go to these networking events, do it. And then number 3 is that, Sheryl, and I'm big on this, is go to your local chamber of commerce. Because right there is a full package deal. They've got things from trade associations. They've got networking events. They've got social hours. They've got people there that are interested in helping you get started. So those are the 3 points.
I love that. That's awesome. And on the chamber, so if you are networking from scratch, the thing that I hear back from a lot of people is that they're overwhelmed at the big chambers. So especially in the Metroplex, we got the mega chambers. They're massive. And and I prefer to be a big fish in a littler pond.
Absolutely.
So find the smaller ones. I know there's a Southeast Dallas chamber that's very heavy manufacturing until people get involved in that one. Get involved in the Midlothian chambers, another good one. So you can find these kind of niche chambers. And now even Argyle probably has a chamber. So you can find these tiny little, and those communities can be gold. If you it allows you to move into a leadership position and then start, gaining your confidence and branching out. So there we go. Networking from scratch. Hopefully you walked away with some really good nuggets today.
I did.
I did too. And I love learning from Paul about him being a headmaster. I mean, truly, I'm like, wow. Hey, I'm no longer going to be a headmaster. I think I'll just buy an insurance company. It's just crazy. I'm inspired all the time. So we want to hear from you. We want to know topics. We want you to be engaged. So be sure to go to networktodaydfw.com. And we want you to hit the little subscribe button. Put in your email address, and that allows you to get emails once a week. We don't sell the list either. And you go over what?
Well, we have the resources.
And Rob's library.
And Rob's library.
Right. And the tech tools is what I do.
What you do, right.
So you're going to get that emailed to you every week as a subscriber. You're also going to get the scoop on some of the big stuff that we're rolling out this year, including the conference in June and some other really cool to be announced items that we're working.
Very excited about that.
I know, working really hard behind the scenes, but it's all about you. So if you're not involved, there is no us. Is there? Right?
There is not. And again, we appreciate your support. Please, again, hit that subscribe button, refer some of your friends. And again, we want you to learn from our episodes here, help you from
taking,
from taking
meeting people to making money faster.
Got a little stumble there, but that's what it's all about.
That's right. So it is what it's all about. So we can't wait to see you. Hey, to success.
This has been a Purple Cow production.